Good afternoon. This is my morning podcast. This is Bob and Danielle, and we're from California and Georgia. And we have a live podcast of how to fight CPS. And of course, save your children, get back your children, hang on to your children. I want to welcome everybody who's in this room. The purpose of this podcast is that we are two individuals that have been involved in CPS for many years. Our cases are different, but we've come together to try to spread some information to help you all doing something you may think is so foreign. This is worse than IRS. This is the Child Protection Services. It's called different names in different states. When I say CPS, I mean the Child Protection Services everywhere. It's a government agency that's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse and do family reunification. That's what's really important. Families will have hiccups, but the best parents for our kids are our biological parents. Right. Studies have proven that they are the best.
Yep.
And so to all you listeners out there, we're going to do our best to help you. We feel for you. We know where you're at. We know what you're going through, and we want to help you. That's our whole purpose, is to help others. And we have guests on the show, people that call in, people that schedule time. And that's nice because this is supposed to be a podcast that you can participate in. Right. You found us on Facebook. We're broadcast on YouTube, and we're using the StreamYard application. And so a couple of things to think about is that you can interact one of several ways, either by texting or phone calling or being a guest on the show. Now, the text, it's real simple. You just text your comments, something about CPS, whether you're involved in CPS or you want to share something that worked good with you, CPS. Successful stories are just as important as heartache stories. It seems like we come across every time we have a show some cases that we never heard about or some things we haven't, but we'll look them up. We'll try to help you work your way through it. So text your comment. All I ask is your name, and most of your registered users, so your name will appear. Mm-hmm. And then I'll also like to know the city and state or the country. You probably say, what, country? Well, somehow Facebook is worldwide, and people worldwide have CPS problems. And we've had
it's everywhere.
Australia. In fact, I just was watching an Australian event a day or two ago.
I know United Kingdom has some. I got some friends over there that I know are going through it as well.
Yes, United Kingdom parallels the U.S. We've had several people from Leeds, United Kingdom, and other places. Canada is called in sometimes the Nova Scotia area, which is really to the east up north, and they've called in. And then we've had a country in South America, two countries. The first country is called Ghana. It's a little north of Brazil, south of Venezuela on the coast. It's a small country. People would not know about it, but it's they had called in and they had expressed concerns. And then after that, we've had Mexico, where a guy from Mexico City was calling. He actually called in too, besides texting. And he was trying to get his daughters back from Missouri, and so we know that it's worldwide out there. And we also had a call from Africa called Mozambique on the east coast of Africa towards the Indian Ocean, but it's near Somalia. It's a small African nation, and they had expressed some CPS concerns. And then we had a mother from Denmark, of all places. So it's very interesting how this is podcast is found around the world.
And you would be surprised at how much people search for CPS situations or support or just resources. I mean, and you would never think that it would be that broad, that there's so many people experiencing this on a day-to-day basis. I mean,
yeah,
it's horrible.
yeah. Yeah. Everywhere you go. So
It's
please text in
mm-hmm.
a message and put your city, state, or country. That would be really nice to know, so that people ask me, why do you ask that information? Well, when I say a statement that is bad mouthing the agency, I want to be not generalized, I want to be specific. So if you tell me you're from Massachusetts or Georgia or Kentucky or
Mm-hmm.
Florida, wherever it is, Texas, West Virginia, it gives me kind of a pattern. I keep looking for a pattern. Now, I've
Like a
had a
map.
social
Yeah.
worker on here who texted in. She was from Maryland, a very sweet social worker. And she was saying that her place isn't like that. And she says, in fact, even though that she has a college degree in clinical therapy, she has gone for further training. She says the state of Maryland, I have extra training for the social workers, which
Okay.
I've had people from Maryland give me a different story. But anyway,
So you've
that
dealt
was
with people from
nice.
Maryland before. So up in you've had cases up in Maryland.
Yes, I've had two other people up there that
Okay.
said CPS wasn't like the social worker describing.
Uh,
And so I hope that social worker listening, if other social workers are listening, feel free to call in. You don't have to worry about identifying your name.
right.
I just like to
Don't
hear
even
from all
face.
people,
Right.
so I don't make generalizations, because so far 99% of the time of the people I talked to, were 500 some people in all 50 states, and says something very much in common. They take your children right away. They do
Yeah.
not give your children back. They don't do family reunification. They violate your constitutional and civil rights. It is tough out there. It's so tough.
It's very tough. It's yeah. I mean, it involves families getting. I mean, they're supposed to support families, not tear them apart.
Yeah, that's exactly a good point.
And,
They're supposed to
and
support families, not tear them apart. They
but,
tore apart my family.
yeah, and then
So
my son is an adult, and they still got him. They're
I know
just. It's all about money. It's all about money. I
it's
mean,
lost in the system.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so please text in.
yes.
And we got our person that texts in all the time called Lori Hildner, who talks about William Mullins. Welcome, Lori. I really don't know. And if you're a listener, that's fine. And William is maybe your son that is taken away from you. You want to forget about him. But welcome, Lori. Now, another way, as I mentioned, you can call in. And I have a phone number, 626 698 0990, where you can call in and talk about your case live on the show, and we can help you that way. So feel free to call in at 626 698 0990. Now, another way is you can be scheduled as a guest. Let's say right now you don't feel like talking. Well, we have a great producer. Her name is Grace, and many kudos go to Grace. She's always here helping us
Good. Yeah.
and giving us ideas and stuff and so forth. So thank you, Grace. And you can email her, by the way, at grace at vincentwdavis.com, and she will help you get on the show. We are on 7 days a week and 14 shows, twice a day. Our normal times are 10 in the morning Pacific Standard Time for an hour, and 7 o'clock at night Pacific Standard Time for an hour. And with exceptions to it are usually the weekends. And this is the morning shows, normally on at 10, but I moved it up to noon. And so we're on a little bit later, but I'm glad you guys found us. On Sunday, we start at 8 o'clock in the morning. I know that's early for people on the
Mm-hmm.
West Coast, but on the East Coast, it works
East
out
Coast.
pretty good there.
I mean,
So on
the West
Sunday,
Coast
we're
it
on a regular
works.
basis at 8 o'clock in the morning. Next Saturday, I'll be back to the regular time.
So next weekend.
Yes, so I should be
Okay.
okay. I have a family, and I have a young family, and still have
Mhm.
a child in high school, and he is a senior, and he has
Oh,
activities on the weekends. And being a
that's,
senior, there's all kinds of things. Like tomorrow, he has a mother-daughter mass. Excuse me, a mother-son mass
oh wow.
uh, with his mother, and so that should be a good event and so forth. Today, he
Yeah.
was taking the SAT test. That's why I was late
Oh,
today.
oh
And the
wow.
SATs are not fun. I had to get him
No.
there at 7:30 in the morning. He gets out at 11, so I have to race back here
Oh
by noon.
wow.
So anyway, having a
SATs.
son, is really hard. I have a wife of 32 years, and I have five other children. I have another son that lives at home with me. He's 24, and I hate to say it, CPS messed him up when he was in foster care.
Oh,
He
so
was doing fine until the COVID came along. And then with the COVID, he was at home alone a lot. He had an apartment. And then this last December, a year ago, he said, Dad, I can't take it anymore. I got to quit school. I don't know why I'm here in
oh,
school. So I said, come on home then. So he came on home. But the hardest obstacle was his lease on his apartment. He had a year
oh,
lease and he had 6 months to go. So that took a lot of money uh, to get him out of the lease. But anyway, he came home and then he left again to go with a friend, and that didn't work out. So he's back at home again. And now he's doing great. I mean, he is doing jobs. He has a girlfriend. He goes to church. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything more. He's going to be better. He's going to be
now that
better.
he's been at home and being like around
Yeah. So
someone instead
hopefully,
of being alone.
right. Hopefully
Yeah,
he'll
awesome.
find a job. He has a lot of debts to take care of. He tries to pay them off, but he has a job. He is working his
That's awesome.
transportation out. So that's good. And my other son went off to a job today, even though he's a senior in high school. He works at two jobs. He works at
Oh wow.
job at school, where he's a cashier in the lunch program, the food service program,
Oh
and
wow.
he's a cashier at CVS pharmacy on the weekends. So
Oh awesome.
he's in. So he knows the importance about money. So he wants things.
And
I'm
that's
struggling to get him to the prom and stuff, and so.
he's I mean it's the E for effort, you know. I mean at least he's
Yes.
I was working and when I was in high school and because I
Yeah.
come from a low income family and I wanted things so I went out and got a job and I like my brother even mentioned yesterday we were talking last night and he's like sis you've been working since you were like 12, 13 so yeah I can and that's awesome because it's the E for effort at least he's because it's so hard like around Georgia they don't know the teenagers they're it's their devices that they're into now like and you can't get them out of it. You can't even hardly get the kids to go outside anymore. It's yeah, technologies I don't even know what to say about that. That's technology it can be good but then it can be it makes like I've even gotten lazy when it comes to technology. It's changed so much over the years, you know, drastically.
Okay. All right.
You know, Bob,
Go ahead.
I was saying like we were talking about earlier about like so you know and about how they're supposed to keep families together and support families and you know the child welfare hold on what is child welfare
Social
gateway
services.
no the child welfare
Oh,
information gateway says that their child welfare systems are typically they usually take the following actions they're supposed to do investigative reports support families provide a temporary safe shelter and seek to return the children and their families with safety when safety has improved or find other permanent arrangements but they have to do all the other things before the last thing it said to seek a permanent arrangement and they just jump automatically to the permanent arrangement I've
yeah.
noticed
They
and
do a lot of jumping.
yes
They
and
think right away your child's in immediate danger and take your child from the
right
home.
and I mean and it's like and they don't even take time to seek out a safe place for the child when they do remove them. And just so sitting here looking at this chart, I mean, I'm just like, wow, they have to go through all these other steps before they go to a permanent. And in my situation, they went to straight a permanent, like, but they didn't realize he had turned 18, you know?
No, they don't follow your civil rights or
No,
constitutional rights, so that's for
no.
sure.
It's
Hey,
like
I
once they
think I
take
got
them,
a
they just forget
solution.
about you.
I think I got a solution to Lori Hiller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mel Vega just texted in, and I think it's Mel, maybe a girl, and she said that she may be tagging that name to watch this show. That is why.
Oh, so she's okay. So she's putting adding somebody in the comments so
Yeah,
they can find the show on their Facebook. Awesome.
I guess so.
That
I
could,
guess that's what they're
and I
doing there.
think that's what I seen yesterday on the video. So
Yeah.
it's just every day it's going to be on every podcast we do, pretty much.
Well, recently. Anyway,
Yeah.
I want to say welcome to Mel. Glad you
Welcome.
joined us. I don't know where you're located in this world, but it'd be nice to have a city, state, or a country that you're from. And also, if you have a question, feel free to ask. You don't have to ask a question to be in this broad podcast. So I've talked about texting to get interacted with this podcast. I've talked about calling in. I've talked about being a guest, and I want to thank Vincent Davis for producing this podcast. And he tells Grace, producer, he says, make sure you call him if you need help at 888-888-6582. And I want to really thank Vincent Davis and Associates, his law firm, and himself for producing this podcast. So if you have a question, call in 888-888-6582 and tell them that Bob Pace sent you. When you talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. He's a family law attorney, and I'll talk more about him shortly in one of my rules. So that takes pretty much our housekeeping activities. I'd like everybody to be focusing on CPS. This is a room about CPS. I know there's a lot of politics out there, and all of us love to talk, and we can be talking about different areas. It's horrible out there, but we're trying to help other people and try to make CPS wake up and realize that they're supposed to do what the government has mandated them to do. And I think if
Right.
the senators and the representatives knew, our Congress people knew what was going on in CPS, I think they'd open their eyes a little bit and make some changes.
Well, the senators, like over here in Georgia, they did open up that investigation, that bipartisan investigation on the Georgia welfare system, but now it's led to other, like Marsha, I think it's Marsha Blackburn and John Ossoff, and they have even recently come out with, and you would think, and my feelings on that, you would think that it would be more like a more serious matter than other things, and I know they talk about it, but it's like now they ventured off to something else caught their attention, and it's like, okay, no, we got to bring it back to here. Like it was, because it was progressing and moving along, and then now all these parents are messaging the senator's office, because I mean, I've even been in his office myself, and they now, I mean, they just had findings about kids, and they did find that kids were still missing, and 400 children were sex trafficked. So we had 1,790 kids missing in Georgia, and what's crazy is the department said that they were once the allegations or whatever caused the investigation on that particular case, that it was every case was satisfactorily resolved. And do you know, I even received the same on my case that they told the senator's office. My case was safely resolved, and that's what so apparently that's their two words they love to say the most, is that it's safely resolved, while they take the kid and traffic them or do whatever with but that's their two words that they've been using a lot. But they just discovered they had new findings, a new court, hearing or whatever, and that's some new things that they have discovered. Their subcommittee.
Okay.
So I encourage to contact your senators in your state, and yes, like.
I have another link I want to share with you. I'm sent it to you in your private chat there.
Okay.
And if you can open it up, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What it is, it's let me see, where is it? Yeah, it's a map of the U.S. and it's highlighted, and you pick what state. It will tell you their hours, office hours, how they do adoption, age of minority. They have all these things. So, for instance, I opened it to Massachusetts the other day when we were talking to that person, and it gives a phone number, and the phone number, of course, this is all about the ICPC.
The main thing, see what up at the top where it says American Public Human Services Association? That's the U.S. That's the main one that controls all of them, right?
Right.
And besides the different states, so that's the main one. And maybe whoever can't get help from their state in the ICPC part, they need to contact them, and because that's what I just now seen that part of it. Every time I pulled this page up, I just got the map. But now
okay.
Yeah, because I just clicked on Georgia.
Yeah, they have the AAICP, but I just checked in California. It gives the hours, it gives the adoption, age of minority. It seems all the same.
Parental placements.
How to do the appeals,
border agreements.
I wonder if I could share that with all the listeners. Maybe the listeners would like this.
You probably, yeah. I was trying to share that link. You'll have to do it like you did with me. I would think, but how did you do that, Bob? Because last night.
Well, I do it on the normal page right now.
You did. Oh,
I'm now sharing it right now.
Okay.
And of course, it's shared on the other Facebook pages that are in this room. See, not only do we have our Facebook, we have other people that are in this room too, that people can click and see other podcasts and stuff. So I just did that.
And that's all the other ones are popping up. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So I was like, dang, we got 8 people that quick. Wow, this was okay. So it does go, it shares out. It's awesome.
Now it seems like 2 people, relatives fight CPS, a secret how to fight CPS, an error occurred. Wait a moment to try again. Okay, all right.
It came through.
Yeah, it came through, but the last 2 it said it didn't. So,
Did you just copy and paste it there?
Yeah, I just copied and pasted the same thing I did to you in private chat.
Wonder why.
I'm trying to give information to our listeners. That's what I'm trying to do here. And that I thought was a real important page to share with them.
Yeah.
There's
also if they want to I can send you the link for like this flow chart. If you wanted to see that flow chart that I showed you the other day. Well, I can't pull it up.
I don't know if I saw that flow chart.
The one from the Child Welfare Agency. It won't show.
I have a flow chart too that I use too.
See, right.
Let's see it. Can you show it?
Let me because the virtual background, that's what it is. It's because the background.
Okay. Let me
I'll change that. But I'll put this in front of the here, Bob. It's this one. Oops. See it? That one?
Oh, that's the same one I faxed you. I know that one. Yeah.
So you did get that one?
Yeah, I can share that again though.
Yeah, because that's a way. And then this little pamphlet, this is a good little pamphlet to go with. Like it talks about, like, breaks it the child welfare system down and tells you like what is the system, what happens when abuse and neglect is reported, what happens in substantiated cases, what happens after the report, a summary, and then it gives some references, and then I mean, it talks about each case, like little or no risk at all, low to moderate. And I think it's a pretty good.
I
I
just
actually,
sent it to you. Is that the same
okay,
one?
let's see.
Check your private
Yeah,
comments there.
let's get the court started. Okay, let me see. This is California. It might.
I'm sending it to the room too.
It. Well, this is talking about. This is when an dependency case that you have. The one I have is when the report gets when they file their report. Like if a mandated reporter reports it, and then it breaks it down that way. That's the court. Yeah, this is actually talking about like when they investigate it. It starts out okay. Well, the man or somebody reported it, and then and then it breaks it from there. Pretty much how the investigation is going to go to where
Can
it
you
leads
send
up
that to me? Can
Yes,
you send
I
that
can.
link to me? Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
I can. Let me go. I will go pull it up and I will get it sent right over. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess right now we're starting to learn how to share things we find because
I have
like over 92 tabs open or 72 tabs open.
like last night. No, that's what was wrong with my computer, and
that is so hard there.
Because you want to keep them all open, but you have
well, I don't want to have to relocate them or reload them.
Yes.
So what I do is that I keep them all there, and then if I close off my computer, it will say, "Do you want to restore?" When you turn it back on, restore those. Another way you can do is you go in there to your history and then find your biggest one with the most number of tabs, and then you just go to the top, and you can restore it and you can see it. So that's the way I've been doing it.
Yeah. Can you go and like save them to a folder like the resources? Like
well, yeah, you can go ahead and star them and save them to a folder. You're right. You can make it to your folders. You have that star button and everything, but I've yet to have to figure out. I have to organize. My problem is I got a lot of stuff saved and I have it in folders, but I have to understand the hierarchy of how to retrieve something or how to find something.
Okay, Bob, I'm going to
send you this. You got to read your book for dummies more.
I was thinking about that book, and that, and it's not really the fact of being it's not dummy, but I like the laughter with it, but it's, maybe there needs to be a resource out there that can direct people in certain directions, because I don't really think
I just think they have a book for dummies for so many things, how to raise a dog. They may have how to raise a baby, but I got it for my computers. When I first got the book for dummies, is basically how to do Windows or how to do Word or how to do Excel.
Okay.
Or how to start a business, how to do build a wagon or something. I mean, there's these how to do things. Well, anyway, someone came up with the idea of a book for dummies. It's written in a very elementary state, and they have a lot of cartoons. It's kind of fun to read. And the book is about $20, I think, on the market out there. So, but I was thinking that, gee, maybe that'd be good to do a book for dummies for,
and that's a good idea.
CPS.
That is a good idea because there's and
well, it seems like there's a lot of demand for it because there's a lot of CPS cases.
Mm-hmm. Child does not have the authority to intervene in personal matters. Okay, so this website that I'm going to send you, Bob, it's a very resourceful website. And they break down and they will send you these pamphlets as well too, but they have them in electronic view too on here. And I'm going to send you this website, but I'm finding the flow chart on here as well. Okay.
Yeah. Did you know the state that has the highest CPS cases? It was Maine, but now it's replaced by Kentucky.
Oh wow! Really? Oh boy!
Yeah, it said the last 3 years, Maine was was the highest there. So,
wow, it's crazy how people. Oh wow! I mean, and what's their? People are. I don't get it. I really do not understand why they do what they do. and why they
Well, I
are
tell
like
everybody, everybody asks me how long a CPS case. They have 45 days to complete an investigation. That doesn't mean the case is done.
right.
They
There's
have to
that.
start the investigation within 24 hours,
I sent you
but they got to finish it within 45 days.
But I'm going to get the flow chart right now. But they have little when you pull up that page, that link I sent you, it'll bring you up to the main page of the Child Welfare Information Gateway, and this is there. And you scroll down past where the kids are holding hands up in the air. If you just keep scrolling down under how to report child abuse and neglect, those little pamphlets right there about kinship care and what is child welfare, and that talks about mental health. Those are those are actually pamphlets like I got right here that they will send to you in the mail in a big white envelope. Yes. And this is where I've gotten a lot of my information.
Do you know what the safest state to raise a child is?
What?
Massachusetts.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh no. Really? Wow.
And we've had several cases.
Yes, because that's where Frederick was. And then we just had what's her face, Boston last night, Miss Joanne. Wow. Oh my goodness.
Now you know how to. Here's something that people have trouble giving birth. How to avoid CPS when giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
To avoid CPS involvement, you should try to make sure the PPO name on the newborn placement information form has a clean criminal record and CPS records as possible. Also, you should make sure the people named to pick up your baby from the hospital are sober and competent when they arrive at the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty logical sense, but I'm glad to hear about that. Now here, if you want to file a lawsuit against CPS, you would typically need to show that they have violated your constitutional rights, such as your right to due process, your right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. You may also need to show that CPS acted in bad faith or engaged in intentional misconduct. So those are things that you can sue them.
Wow, Bob, they even have, I just now seen this. They have, when I searched on that website, the childwelfare.gov, I'm going to have to look. Oh, wow. I put in the search.
There's a lot of that, really. Yeah.
And wow, they even got about education contacts for independent living and education coordinators. They give you the resources for that. And
well, to all the listeners out there, knowledge is you're going to be success.
Knowledge is
win
power.
Your case. You have to get knowledge. You need to know the welfare and institution code of each state or the state you're in. In California, it's code 300, 325, 344, 317. There's a lot of codes that they deal with. And you got to read them because you'll learn the key, the answers to get your case up there. Now, how long before CPS shows up at your house? After allegations are made, they'll investigate, and they have up to 10 days to go to your house, to visit your house.
If it's in an emergency situation, they have a set
well, that's right. If there's definitely a child in that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's child. They got a lot of, I like these flow charts. I did not know they had this many flow charts. Wow. Maybe I should have researched this a little bit more. Whoa. All right, here we go. Let's see how the CAC model works. Here it. All right. And it even takes you to other websites. Wow. You ever heard of the National Children's Alliance?
No, that's a new one in there. I'm surprised as far as the friendliest state for CPS. Besides Massachusetts ranked number 1, North Dakota is number 2, Minnesota's 3, and Nebraska's 4.
Wow. Oh, Georgia ain't up there. Georgia, they've this state, they didn't want to be, I don't know what to say about Georgia really right now.
As far as
Is it
crimes go,
another?
New Mexico's number one, Arkansas 2,
Wow.
Louisiana 3, and Colorado 4.
Really?
Hmm.
You would not think that.
I
Wow.
love this one here. What to say and not to say to CPS. Choose your words carefully. Despite how emotional charged these situations are, you must remain calm when interacting with social workers and police officers. Anything you say will be used in a CPS investigation as evidence. In many circumstances, the best way to say nothing at all. That's my rule number 3. I say do not say anything. It's yes, no answers. And if you get to the point, I might as well talk about rule number 3, is that you say you need to talk to your attorney before you go any further. Please give me your business card, because these social workers will lie. They'll say, so, I'm so and so, and then you call in, they don't even exist. So I'm telling you, is that the best thing is to say nothing at all, nothing at all. And then further on my rule number 3, don't let them in your house, don't let them take your child. And if you're in a hospital, don't let them take your child. And if you gave birth, don't let them take your child. They need a court order, a warrant that said they could do that. And that warrant is so explicit. It's got to say the name, the allegations, the date and time they're going to do the investigation, the location, and what children they're going to pick up if they're taking children and so forth. And then it's got to be signed by a judge with a wet signature, because they'll use copies of other cases.
All right. So I'm going to try to. I downloaded that chart. Let's see if I can put it in here.
Did you know that conversations with CPS workers are not confidential? So be very careful what you disclose. It's best to consult with an attorney before any conversation with a worker. I've been saying that over and over and over.
There you go, Bob. That last link I just sent you. Oops, go ahead.
Okay, remember you have the right to refuse to answer questions and may remain silent.
The very last
right.
Yep. The very last link I sent you is the one for that flow chart that it's the actual flow chart. The other two are to the websites that the childwelfare.gov site is the one that goes to this pamphlet, but I found you the pamphlet itself. And then and you could even download that to your computer, or you can order it for free. There is 2 options when you go through that.
Well, the last one you sent me
it's
was
a file.
not the flow chart.
No, it is. We have to go through the pages. It's the last page of that pamphlet. That's one of the pamphlets. It's actually page, I don't know how many pages is on there. Let's see. Let me pull it back up.
Well, if scroll down, I'll scroll down to see a flow chart.
There it is.
Page 8.
Yes,
page 8.
Yep.
That's very similar to the flow chart I sent you, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah, there. Because I even found another flow chart that says how it's hold on, where to go? You sent me the juvenile dependency one, but then there's another one on the child welfare system site itself that talks about the actual, like, it breaks it down, like what the child is, what happens with the child, like how the child is going through the system, so it like breaks the court, the investigation down, everything. So they have flow charts through the whole process, and that's what I think is a good thing, like what you had as well. And the last one I just seen goes to like with what you had sent me. But this one, it talks about how if somebody calls in, what happens after that, if it's a report is screened or the situation does not meet the state's requirement, definition of maltreatment, or is there too little information? And then it goes to the safety concerns. And then they go to, once the report is screened, do they find out if safety concerns exist, or if there's any, or if there's none at all? And then it'll tell you where it opens up an investigation, or it may conduct a family assessment. And that's where that girl in New York, was it New York? Where she had the FAR,
Yes, was New York.
And that's where that comes in as, so she's either there are safety concerns that exist, or a risk is significant, or there's no safety concerns and risk is low. Did you see that on that flow chart? If you go there, where
I did read that there. I'm looking at another one you sent me called "How the CA Model Works." Um, what state is that for? Is that federal or is that one of the states?
Which one? Say that again. How the
The
CAC.
CAC. The
Now
CAC.
that's the national. That goes with the National Children's Alliance. So that is the force behind Children's Advocacy Center. So that goes nationwide. That's federal. That's
Yeah,
all
but do the states
everywhere.
use it? I wonder if the states
I
use it.
don't know that. I don't know because I just discovered that myself. So I doubt it. I doubt it. That that website, the children welfare .gov, that's a very resourceful website. And I'm just not even seeing that myself.
Well, I like this child welfare information gateway. I'll look at that later.
Okay, yeah.
I don't
So
want to. I don't want to take away from our
I know you're
listeners
good,
because we want to help them.
but I'm gonna look into it
Again,
more too.
I remind anybody out there that's listening, please text in a question or a comment if you like to. If you want to call in at 626 0990,
That
and that's being my phone. And during this show podcast, you can talk on the podcast and ask your questions. And it works out a lot better if you have a lot of questions or a difficult case.
right.
We have about 19 minutes left of the show here.
Oh wow.
I'd like to get into our other two rules. I briefly talked about rule number 3, which is the one you say no. And you do not let them in the home. You don't let them get their foot in there.
Right.
If you have a window near the door, you can ask them to put the warrant against the glass so you can read it to make sure it's what they say it is.
Make sure
If you're outside and they flash a paperwork at you, tell them, let me see it. They're supposed by law to show it to you. If they don't, then they're hiding something. Also, I think it's best if you're outside, stay outside. Don't let them in your house. You can tell them you need to speak to your attorney, and that usually is a good way to end a conversation. I need to speak to my attorney before I go any further.
Right.
Can I have your business card? And that works good with police or the social worker, because all they can do, if it's a policeman, he can write a violation. He can write, so can code enforcement too. Sometimes social workers bring out code enforcement.
Yeah.
Those are building codes, things in there.
And that's like for
they actually
homes.
brought the fire department. In my case, I had 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, and a detective that were standing in front of my house.
So they brought out code enforcement and.
Oh yeah, they're trying to find something. The problem was for 5 years, the allegations were coming in from my lay people, my family, my in-laws, saying stuff that wasn't true. And for 5 years, I was able to diffuse that. I met with them at the back of my car, on the hood of their trunk, go over the paperwork in the dim light with a flashlight. It's like, I refused them to go. I did let them go to my house, I think once or twice. They found nothing wrong with the house. But now that I know, I do not want to let them in there. So what you need to do is to, to be courtesy to them, but, get the thing over. If they want to write a citation, have a write a citation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot better that way to get it over with. It's stupid sitting there because they're going to try to talk to you and talk to you and talk to you. And they'll end. My wife was very good about this. She says, do not talk to the detective.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I'd be smart, and I was wrong, and she was right. And I said that, said too much. You always try to tell the truth and say everything, and you think that the government is behind you, but I'm forced to find out the government isn't your friend.
No, and they try to make it seem like
because
they're going to.
If you've been watching the politics, you see how much they thrash a president. They have no respect for anybody, and they thrash the Speaker of the House. There are such foul-mouthed people in Congress. It's unbelievable. There's no respect. I thought the Commons in England, the Parliament in Commons, was rough on the Prime Minister when they sit there and trash the Prime Minister and stuff and make noise and ruckus remarks and stuff. But our Congress is just as bad. They're so bad. There's so many rudeness that people have done. Watching the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, sit there and trash the president, it was unbelievable. There's just no question to me that, and I, I think about our candidates, and why is our or candidate who's a former president want to go through what he's going through, be president, and he says, "I don't want to be paid." I mean, I just anyway.
It's
Politics we got to keep away. We can get
yep.
here and get everything like that. So, gee, I wonder
Oh,
where Grace was. She was there, but she's always busy with other podcasts and stuff. So she
this
pops
goes
in and out.
24/7, don't it? Like it goes
Yeah.
every hour on the hour.
Well, I
And
want to
there's
talk about my other two rules so we get those out of the way. So at least I accomplished something, I think. Uh, I'm going to say rule number 2 since I'm doing it backwards. I did rule number 3, now I'm doing rule number 2.
there you
Rule
go.
number 2 is the paperwork things. It's sad, but anything you get involved in, you have to do some paperwork. And I've been trying to develop ideas and rethink it out and rehash it in there. And so I think the best method for y'all is to get a 3-inch, 3-ring binder. And you're going to stack it with tons of papers in there, as much paper as you can put in it, maybe 500 sheets. And then you want to get those subject tabs and you put those in and you can space it out. I know tab 1 is very important because that's where you're going to list all your incidents. And the way you list them is just put the date and time. So you have the date, you have the time, and then you put the people that are involved with it. And then that can all fit on the first line. The second or third line is what the incident was about. You want to describe it. And you don't have to be detailed, just enough to describe it so that you can remember it 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 8 years from now. The next thing is you're going to put the outcome. The outcome is so important because, if it's not done, resolved, you leave it blank. That tells you have to come back and fill it in when you can.
Mhm.
It may be one of those outcomes that takes 6 months to do. But you need to show the outcome. That's usually 1 or 2 lines. And then after that, you skip a couple lines in case you come back later and want to add things to that incident. So then you do your second incident, skip a couple lines, third incident, and repeat, fourth, fifth. So you're just filling up instance after instance from your day one. And if your case has already started and you're too late or something, you can go back and redo it. Also,
Mhm.
if it's a 3-ring notebook, you can open up the rings and insert another page.
Right.
It's so easy to manage that way. Then the next tab is going to be a very important tab because that's where you want to keep track of all your parenting classes, your programs, your drug testing, your meetings, counselor meetings, meetings with social workers. That would be all your meetings. That way you have a thing for meetings and you look really, okay, we met on this day, with that day. Oh, we went to court on that day, went to court. You don't have to be just, you can use one-liners for that. So that's your
Mm.
lab tab number 2. Then tab number 3 is you want to put down all the things you found, like on the internet, the links and so forth. Even though you may have it on your computer, it's nice to have them written down because you'll forget them. And sometimes on your computer, they'll get buried and they're hard to find. So, use that third tab for that. And then you have as many tabs you want, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And you can use those other tabs for whatever is pertaining to your case, whatever you think in there. But I think if you have a good notebook with CPS, devoted to CPS, it'll be fine because post-it notes and papers laying around are not going to organize it because you want to have something you can grab and go to the court, go to the social workers, when they come or you talk to them or when you go and see
Have it
them,
ready.
you have it ready and there it is. If they say, well, what parenting class you taking? You go to tab number 2, you say, here are the
Mhm.
parenting classes. What drug things here they are. Here's all the
Have
results and
everything
so forth.
ready.
Yeah. And so what you can do, and then you need to keep track of all your documents. Now, the best way for me with documents is to, you know, file them in date order, but they're your documents from court, from social workers. They can be hard copies of your certificates and things like that. You may want to organize that, but that's a lot of paperwork there. But that's the paperwork part of CPS. I didn't do that, and I wish I had in the beginning. That's something that I regret because it would have helped me out later in life. You do that thing. But my first rule, the one I think is the most important, is you need a person to defend you. That person is a professional family law attorney, not a public defender. I want to emphasize public defenders will not defend you.
Mm-mm.
They only come on the day of the hearing. They won't meet with you separately. They have a caseload of 20 to 30 clients, and they're very new. They don't have education, and they won't be able to defend you. They'll go with the social workers, attorneys, or the judge. In fact, I think they're corrupt. I think they're a waste of time. And I did. I tried to use a public defender for a year and a half, and it was a waste of time. That's why I hired a real attorney. And the analogy that I give why you need an attorney is if you are going to have work done on your heart, which requires open heart surgery, like to replace a valve or a stent, something in your heart you have to do. Are you a layperson going to work on your heart? Are you just going to carve your chest up and pull it open and do all the stuff that's necessary? Are you going to let another layperson do that to you? Or are you going to let somebody that maybe is an auto mechanic do surgery on you?
Would you let
It's
your
so
best friend?
important
Right.
that you think about CPS as open heart surgery because they are the most confusing agency I know of. When it's the story of Alice in Wonderland. Well, Alice falls in what's called a rabbit hole, and in that rabbit hole,
Mm-hmm.
she encounters many doors that go nowhere, many people that don't make sense. It's strictly CPS is Alice in Wonderland. That's what it is.
Right.
CPS is Alice in Wonderland. And so you need this attorney, somebody who has gone to, law school that specializes in family law, that's passed the bar exam, and has been doing it. The attorney I'm talking about that we have in our law firm, that's a family law attorney, is Vincent W. Davis. He has over 35 years of family law experience. He is a very professional when it comes to CPS. He's a fighter. He will get your kids back. He knows the laws. He is available right now for a consultation for 30 minutes where he'll help you navigate and fight CPS and get your children back. And if you like him, you can ask about his retainer and he'll go over that with you because he could be your attorney. I hired him after a year and a half and he got back my two sons. So you want somebody who's a fighter. He's a trial attorney. He works in Southern California, but he'll do other states, Northern California. Fees are higher because of the accommodations and the travel there. But that being said, he'll be very fair with his price on there. Now, when you're looking for an attorney, and if you really don't have the money, you got to word your search right. You got to word your search right. And you want to start off with the city you live in and the nearby big city you live in your search form. Then after that, if you want an attorney that doesn't charge, you write in the word pro bono. That is a Latin word for no charge, pro bono. And that's your next group of phrases. Then you want to put in there family law attorney. And you're probably saying, why not put CPS? Well, that may specialize your area. I don't know how big your area is, so just put family law. Because from that list of 10 that you find, you are going to call all 10 and you're going to preliminarily ask some simple questions. Have you fought CPS? Do you charge for your services? Um, uh,
If they ask
how
about money,
bad
you
is your
can.
caseload? Just some general stuff. Because then you're going to narrow from the list of 10 that you called down to 5 that you're going to negotiate to represent you. And I want Mr. Davis to be one of those 5 you talk to. As I say, he'll do a consultation for $60 for 30 minutes. It's well worth the $60. All you do is call in 888 6582 say you want to speak to Mr. Davis for a consultation, and tell him that Bob Pace sent you. When you talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. And then you do your consultation, and then you may want to retain him. If the chemistry is right and he can afford the price. Um, and don't forget, you still got your other 4 other attorneys to talk to too, to meet and talk to too.
Right.
The 5
Right.
attorneys, the ones that you meet and talk to. The 10 attorneys you do a loosely talk to, and you select them from that list. You may come up with 50. I don't know. You may not come up with 50. You may not come up with 10. But make sure Vincent Davis is one of those 5 that you talk to.
They
There.
ask about money right off to begin with.
Yeah.
Don't.
Good point. Yeah. Anytime anybody asks about money, the first words, it's like if I go to a mechanic, I talked about my car, and he says, well, it's going to be about 25 or 3,000. I said, I haven't talked to you about what's wrong with the car. That right there, when people put money first, it's a sign indication that they're only in there for money and to rip you off. And there's a lot of
Right.
rip-offs. I'm sorry to say that all attorneys are professional, and they
There
will
is
rip
a
you
lot of
off.
rip-offs.
There's a heart stories of people giving all their savings to an attorney that drops the bomb. At least
And
you
they
can't say that with court-appointed attorneys because you're not paying them. And well, sometimes
and that's even like it feels even makes it feel worse because they're
yeah.
I mean, you would think that they have to do so many cases a year, but it feels like you're just a quota, like a number to them. I mean, oh well, I got that case solved. I mean, and that's it sucks. It stings that it's like that. So you
Yeah.
feel like you're on like being punished for something and like tried and like criminal court. I mean, that's exactly what it feels like. Because
So
I've been
I
on both
know it's hard
sides.
for you to get an attorney. The money is a thing. I
Mhm.
had to sell my home. People have done credit lines. People have asked family and friends. It's so hard to raise money. It really is.
Just don't give up.
It's so hard to ask it and so forth. But that
Oh yeah.
completes my 3 rules. So far, we've had nobody that really wants to talk in here. We've shared a couple documents that I think will help everybody. What
The evening
topics would you like?
shows are
Because
more.
we have about 3 minutes left. So, is there a particular topic you think we want to talk about? The 388 motion or the ICWA? What do you think we should talk about? What would be good?
I would think that like something, because I was like looking at this flow chart and I noticed that I don't get how where it's set, when they report something and they screen the reports and they go if it's no risk, low risk, medium risk, high risk, the high risk and the no risk, it automatically jumps to a CPS investigation. So how can they go? I mean, what? That's weird. Or a family assessment, and I just noticed that it skips the medium. The medium automatically goes to, but the high risk is automatic investigation, and then so is the low risk. But why? There you go. There's your Bob. There's a UK, England, and Wales running criminal cartel.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. This is the 4th call, the first comment from England. And people don't realize that we don't have from other countries, but UK, England, Wales is running criminal cartel corporation kidnapping surgery. Wow. Purging lies, they're terrorists destroying loving, capable families, splitting up siblings for financial gain, and destroy the family unit. Crimes against humanity. Wow. Evil, satanic, demonic, statistics, psychopathy, they go to any means and measures to extort the truth and steal the children and not abuse the children.
And that is
well, welcome, Leo Lewis. Thank you for
sharing that.
telling us that you're sharing that.
So it is
you're saying typical of England and Wales are running a criminal cartel corporation. And it's so sad. It's so sad that
it's very,
yeah. I talk about countries text in here. Here's a case. They don't believe me, but it does. It's every so often I'll get a country that are listening, so I know that our listeners are from around the world.
I have a lot of
CPS
people.
Is definitely a worldwide problem. I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's because the United States is a $38 million business. Now, what I mean by a $38 million business is that's how much money they're making. And that's way too much money. 38 billion is a lot of money. and so forth
Yeah,
there.
that's and
Yeah.
in UK, I can definitely, because I've heard of several friends that I know over there that are going through their children.
Yeah.
Like, I have a friend right now, her children can't be found, like right now.
Right.
And that's, I wish, I mean,
38 billion.
No, 55 billion.
Well, it's now 55 billion is the latest figures.
yes, because
Yeah, my wife says it's gone from 38 to 55 billion now.
It has, because millions.
55 billion. That is horrendous. Well, our time has run out. We've gone our full hour and we're off by about a few seconds here. I want to thank you, Danielle, for
Thank you, Bob.
joining with me. I hope all our listeners, we do try to answer anybody. We didn't have too many people call in. I want to thank about the people from England, Wales. It was nice to hear from the family there about that. The person that sits in a room and doesn't say anything, I want to forget them. I think their name is, where did they go?
Lori Hillard.
I think so.
And there's a
I want to thank Mel Viega, who answered the question, Lori Hiller. So we've had three people. We've had an English Welsh couple from the United Kingdom, and then we've had Mel Vega and Lori Hiller. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
And keep fighting. Do not give up. You will get your child back, and we care about you. God bless you. And this is Bob and Danielle signing off. God bless you.